So for a child who's academically gifted, is the Foundations program at Classical Conversations even enough? Won't they get bored with just memory work and it repeats year after year? Is that going to be enough for them? Well, the short answer is yes. The Classical Conversations Foundations program can be enough to meet the needs of an academically gifted student. But the longer answer involves tailoring. That's when a homeschooling parent adapts the curriculum to meet the specific needs of their student. That involves setting expectations, that involves requirements, and really thinking holistically about what the student needs in this season right now to let this be able to help them grow in the ways that they need to grow. Remember, with the Foundations program, we're not just memorizing and reciting, we're laying a foundation for future learning. And what that foundation looks like for your student can vary. It can be listening to the music as they are playing in their room, and it can be reading and digging deep and deep and deep into all the memory work facts that they've learned that week. That is up to you as the parent, and that really depends on what your child is hungry for and what your child is interested in. Now, every year with the Foundations memory work, students can work toward Memory Master. That is taking all of the information that they've learned and reciting it 4 times for 4 people in its entirety at the end of the year with no mistakes. That is a wonderful goal for every child in Classical Conversations. If you have a student who's academically gifted, do Memory Master. Do it early and do it often. The wonderful thing about it is that it helps your student be able to understand how they study, to work toward a goal. If they've done Memory Master for each of the 3 cycles, okay, do 2 cycles in one sitting, or do 3 cycles in one sitting. And in their final year as a Foundation student, they're eligible to compete in the National Memory Master Championship. And this is a tough competition where they do things like recite the timeline backwards or out of order, or drawing maps. These are all amazing things that they can work toward as they're doing all of these Memory Master things throughout the years. For your young students, the Scribbler's resource is an amazing, full and rich resource with activities to dig into all of the memory work facts. There's more information about Greek and Roman gods, about Latin, about English grammar, about science and history, lots of hands-on activities that you can do. It's not just for young kids or to buy the time or to check the box on an activity, but when you dig in, they are able to engage with the memory work in a new and fresh way that's engaging for their minds. The memory work that they're introduced to each week in community is designed to spark questions and to inspire them to want to know more about it. They learn the 4 types of tissue and they can recite them, but what are the differences between them? What do they look like? How do they behave? What are they like? Those are questions that you can answer at home. As they learn history facts and they're able to recite these beautiful sentences about what happened in history, you can dig deep, define all the terms, know who all the people mentioned are, what else was going on in the world around that time. These are all wonderful things that you can do to make Foundations rich and academically engaging for your gifted student. Remember that for every memory work fact that they memorize, there's somebody with a PhD in just that one thing. So the memory work is only as basic as you allow it to be. If your student is interested in learning more about one specific ocean zone, you can dig in that week and learn about that one specific ocean zone. If your student is excited about one person mentioned in history or one item on the timeline, you can read and learn and watch documentaries and just enjoy the richness of information about that one piece. Because the cycles repeat every 3 years and the timeline repeats every year, there's a variety. There's no end to the number of things that your student can really get excited about and learn more about. If on a particular week, nothing is really sparking your child's interest in the memory work, that's okay. The advantage of homeschooling is that you have time. So you can use that week to dig into some other interests or to read lots of good fiction, read classics, read out loud. Enjoy the advantage of time that homeschooling allows you. There's an amazing article on the CC website called Beefing Up 6th Grade. The great thing about it is that it's not just limited to students in their final year of Foundations. You can employ some of the tips in it at any point when you feel like your child is ready for more, when you need to tailor the CC curriculum for your child. It has amazing ideas. One idea is about presentations. You can help your child move from like a show and tell style presentation where they grab something from home and they share about it, talk about it, into researching and writing something, memorizing it, and presenting it. So you can choose something from the week's memory work, or you can choose something else that they're interested in, have them research it, do a keyword outline, or write a paragraph, memorize it, or deliver the speech from the keyword outline. That's great practice weekly to hold them to a higher standard for their presentation. When all the students are doing a hands-on science activity during Community Day, you can have your student bring a science journal so they can take notes on the experiment. And then at home, they can turn that into a lab report that they write. It might even require some extra research from them. With the geography memory work, your student can move beyond finding the locations on the map and pointing them out or naming the locations to creating their own map. So each week, they remember the previous week's locations and draw it on the map, and then add in the new ones so that by the end of the year, they have 24 weeks worth of locations that they can draw and label on their own hand-drawn map. Now, of course, your child is not limited to memorizing only what's in the Foundations Guide. You can memorize many more things, including poems, speeches, or excerpts from famous documents. All of these things challenge your child and also stay in line with what classical education is and what we're trying to accomplish in these Foundations years. Finally, remember that academics are just one aspect of a child's upbringing. They also have spiritual needs, emotional needs, social needs, and yes, academic as well. And the beauty of homeschooling with classical conversations is that all of those needs can be addressed and all of those needs can be met in a way that's in tune with the way a child naturally learns and in a way that builds them up. As your child is studying and researching and memorizing and they have questions about the things they're learning or the things they're studying or the things they're reading, you get to be right there to answer those questions. And you get to be there to point them back to God and ultimately know Him. As they're in community, in class with other students, and there may be a time when it's a review game and they know the answer and they're tempted to answer right away. You get to shepherd their heart and talk to them about when it's time to give an answer, when it's time to let another student have a turn, when it's time to shout it out and blurt it, when it's time to just stay quiet and encourage other people to speak up. If it's their second or third or fourth time doing Memory Master, they can cheer on the kids who are doing it for their first time, encourage them, and maybe share some advice. There are so many ways that students can grow as a leader and grow as a servant. The mission of Classical Conversations is to know God and to make Him known. Not to know facts, but to know God. 1 Corinthians 8:1 says that knowledge puffs up, but love edifies. If we're focused on knowledge and achievement and challenges only, that can build in our students pride. But if we're focused on wisdom, if we're focused on recognizing what's true and what's good and what's beautiful, that can build humility in our students, and that's what we want. The CC Foundations program is rich. The memory work is full of information about history and science and geography, math, English grammar, and Latin. There's so much there for a student to learn and memorize and to thrive and to grow with. There's so much to help parents as you guide your child, from the Scribbler's Resource to the Copper Lodge readers. It's called Foundations for a reason. It's a chance for our young students to begin their education in a way that's fun, in a way that encourages their love of learning, that encourages them to ask questions, that encourages them to dig deep, and yes, encourages them to challenge themselves. But no matter how much we know, it's godliness that brings true success. So blessings to you as you use the Foundations program and the knowledge that you gain from it and the conversations you have because of it to point your kids to Jesus.